Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. How amazing was episode 30? Oh my god. If you want to hear what I have to say about the next episode, stick around. So we start where we left off last episode, Sanem seeing John and Pauline at the cottage. Because of Mama David, Pauline already knows that Sanem made this mistake and she took that chance and re-proposed that proposal that she had from a London agency for John to be a freelance photographer or something like that. And then when Pauline goes and says to Sanem, that smile like you won't be here for much longer, and then she listens to their conversation like I kind of have to find a ship name for Pauline and Mama David because they always come like in a package. Puma, Hulen. Hulen sounds nicer than Puma. And then the next day, Hulen meets up and they talk about this whole situation. So Pauline tells Mama David everything that happened at the cottage. And Mama David is like, well, we have to take advantage of the situation because now they're separated. So you can just jump in and take John and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, getting back to the whole cottage scene. I've never seen, or actually I have, but I've never seen John that angry with Sanem. Like, we've seen him that level of angry with Emre after this whole engagement thing came out, and I think that's all, but he was fuming. I mean, I get both sides. I always say that, but I really do. So in that scene you could really see a betrayed man, a man whose trust has been broken, who's like questioning everything and everybody, especially the person that he loves the most. So I really do get his anger, but the level of anger he had, it was just... And then I felt really sorry for Sanem because she had her reasons. Of course, she could have proceeded in a different way, and she actually wanted to explain to John her reasons, but he wouldn't listen, and that's the mistake he made. And then him telling her that there's no us anymore and that she is just like everybody else. It was very hurtful for her. But yeah, just like I said, I get both sides. And then when he sits alone and thinks back to all those nicer times they were at the cottage alone, I was like, well, you can think all you want now, that's not going to get her back. And then you have the Layla and Sanem conversation, and I really like that Layla was motivating Sanem and telling her, well, you have to be the old Sanem again. You have to be the person that fights for the things she wants and fights for the love of John. And exactly the same thing JJ says as well the next day. Then we also have the Nihat Mevkebe war going on, which I already said that it's going to be hilarious, them fighting over customers. And then when Mevkebe opened her shop and Nihat saw that the whole neighborhood was there, and he was like, come to my shop, I'll give you 40% off of everything. And then it's back and forth where the other one rises the percentage of how much the customers get off of their products. It was hilarious. So I'm really excited to see how this whole store war continues. So Muzo is Mevkebe's business partner, and Aysun finds out about it and then goes to him and is like, well, take your slippers, take your pajamas and go to your new mother. I'm not your mother anymore. And I felt quite sorry for him. And then I was like, well, where is he going to go? But then I was like, well, JJ is new in the neighborhood and he's a male, so maybe he'll go there. And he actually did, and it was hilarious. Also, all the JJ scenes were amazing once again. So the first one that I really loved was when Mama David was confronting Sanem when Pauline came once again to the agency, and Sanem was watching them and getting really angry and ripping those papers up. And Mama David is like, well, what's that? And JJ comes up with the story why Sanem does that. And then Mama David says something and he just explodes. Eileen is gone, now you came here, who are you? You never worked in your life, and that much makeup on your face, nobody knows your real face. It was hilarious, and I was like, oh my god, JJ, what is happening? And then he kind of calms down, and then you see that it was all just him imagining it, and in reality he was just avoiding Mama David's eyes. So anyways, he asks Gülis how to prepare a romantic dinner, what to cook, blah blah blah, because he wants to have a nice romantic dinner with Ayhan. And I don't remember correctly now, was it before or after the dinner that Muzo came to the agency? Anyways, so Muzo comes to the agency and asks for JJ's help for this new campaign they want to have for the new shop Mefkebe owns. And Mama David is searching for JJ, so JJ pushes him in an empty meeting room, and Mama David is asking JJ where Can is, and JJ is trying to not say anything because he actually knows it from Layla, because Layla got a message from Sanem, and at first he was like, no, don't tell me, but then he's like, no, yes, tell me, let me see, and then he's like, no, but then yes, so he looks at it, and he's very proud of himself that he kept that secret from Mama David, because Layla was like, well, nobody is allowed to know this information where Sanem is because everybody thinks she's sick at home. So anyways, while Mama David and JJ have their conversation, Muzo comes out and is like, Django, I'm waiting here for hours, there's nobody in here, we have to work, blah blah blah. It was hilarious. And then Mama David was like, what is he doing here? And I kind of recognize you. And then Muzo is like, ah yes, and tells her how they actually met, how the car broke down, and JJ trying to save the moment and just taking Muzo away and bringing him to the exit, and Gülis comes, and I think there is a new potential couple coming, so Gülis and Muzo, because Muzo is really liking Gülis. So anyways, they kind of plan to meet up at JJ's place, so Gülis, Ayhan, Muzo and JJ, to come up with a campaign. So that night they meet up. Muzo actually comes up with the slogan, and then we see Muzo talking to Gülis, and then there's this fight between JJ and Ayhan that actually continues from the candlelight dinner. So at first we have Ayhan and JJ enjoying their meal, and Ayhan actually asks him if she can use her hands. Maybe he thought in a perverted way, I don't know. Maybe things got lost in translation. Maybe he understood that she asks him to marry her or something in a completely different direction. I don't know. But anyways, he was very confused and just like losing his head. Then Ayhan says, well, I mean, can I eat with my hands? And they start laughing, but then Muzo comes, just as I said, to sleep over at JJ's place, and he asks, well, what is that, a romantic candlelight dinner? And JJ is like, no, it's just between friends. And Ayhan loses her mind and is like, what do you mean? What are we? And JJ is like torn between Muzo telling him that it's nothing serious between Ayhan and him, but then at the same time not hurting Ayhan because there is something between them and they are in a relationship. And Muzo is like, JJ, there's one rule in this neighborhood. If you want to have a romantic time with a girl, you need to put a ring on it. And it was so hilarious, and JJ got really nervous while talking about marriage, relationship and everything, and Ayhan got really angry about this. So this whole fight continues the next time they meet, and Ayhan rehashes this whole argument, and JJ is trying to block everything out and evade the questions. So he's like, well, when you leave, just close the door, and I trust this neighborhood that nothing will happen to you when you go home, so I'll just go to sleep now, good night. It was hilarious. Like, how can you say that to Ayhan, especially in such a moment where she's really angry? Oh my god. Then we also have this Emre/Layla plotting things in favor of Canem, and also them having some cute moments. So Emre is asking Can, does he really want to go? And Can is like, well, nothing holds me here anymore, so I have to I don't want to stay any longer. And he also tells Emre that before he leaves, he wants to get the company back the way it was when he got it from their father. So he needs to get those shares back. Aylin still had the shares. So how they solved the problem was that they withdrew the charges in order to get the shares back, and they made this deal with Aylin's lawyers and they accepted, so this whole problem was solved. I actually wanted to see Fabri and Aylin in prison, if I'm honest. Just one little scene of both of them in prison. That would have made me really happy. So anyways, Can tells Emre that he will just go away for a couple of days because he needs to clear his mind, to think about everything that happened and how he's going to proceed. So he tells Emre that he's going to this little hotel in Ava, and Mama David comes in and asks him, well, what are your plans? And he actually doesn't tell Mama David anything because she tries like 2 or 3 times to ask him where he's going because she wants to tell Pauline, but he doesn't, and Emre picks up on that. And one night when Mama David tries again, Can doesn't say anything and she asks Emre, and Emre tells her a different hotel, so in a different location. And I was like, oh, Emre, that's a very smart move. So I don't know if I've said it enough, but I really like Emre now. The evolution of his character throughout this series is amazing. I love it so much. So anyways, and then he says, well, do you want to drink some wine? Of course. And then he goes to the kitchen but actually listens to what Mama David does. So she calls Pauline, tells her to drive up to this hotel, make a reservation, whatever. And then him smiling at himself that he kind of predicted Mama David doing such a thing. So anyways, the next day Emre tells Layla the whole plan, that Can wants to get out of Istanbul for a couple of days and that Sanem should go with him and they should plan everything and they need to convince Sanem as well. And then they have this kind of double meaning conversation because Layla says, well, Sanem needs to be happy, blah blah blah, and she had her reasons for doing all those things. So it kind of fits for Sanem, but it also fits their situation, and I think Emre picked up on that because later he asks her, well, are you happy with Osman? Is that the reason why you married him, because you thought I was still with Eileen? And she's really dismissive and blocking it and saying, well, I made the right decision because we don't fit each other. Then after Can and Sanem left, they have this cute moment talking about this whole situation, that they're happy that Can and Sanem are together at this hotel. And then Mama David comes and kind of ruins the moment between them, and I was like, oh my god, it was so cute between them. Then we also have this whole business meeting happening. Now that Can is away, Emre has to step in, and what I've noticed is that Emre had a sore throat, so his voice was very coarse and like he was sick. Before he had a normal voice with Layla, and then after, when Osman comes with this manager and this whole company that he has to be an actor in their ad, it was just very interesting to see. But what I wanted to say is that Emre's office changed. I forgot to say it in my last preview, but his office actually changed. They put a sofa in, the table is different. And then another thing that I've noticed is that you could actually see the mic pack when Sanem was wearing this black top with the cut out shoulders. So you could actually see the, what do you call it, the clip of the mic pack or something. She had something in the bag. I presume it's the mic pack. So yeah, that's another thing that I've noticed. So what I have to say concerning Emre and Layla is that I really like them working together in favor of Can and Sanem and trying to get them back together, and maybe they will get closer while they work on Can and Sanem. One thing that I've wanted to say for a couple of reviews, but I always forgot to mention it. So Layla and Osman are only engaged. My theory is, when there's going to be the wedding between Layla and Osman, if there's going to be a wedding, it's either when they're sitting at the table and the person asks Layla, Aydin, do you want to marry Osman? She either says no because she sees Emre in the audience, or before she says yes, Emre storms in and interrupts, and then Layla is like, I can't do this anymore, blah blah blah, Emre, I love you, something like that. Or Layla breaks up with Osman before there's going to be a wedding. So yeah, that's my theory. That would be really interesting to see if this really happens, because that would be a very tense moment to see, does Emre make it to the ceremony or not? Just saying. So if anyone from the Erkenci team is watching this, think about it. So now getting to the Jeonnim storyline. So first we have Sanem kind of fighting for John at the company before Polen comes. So she tries to talk to him about work, about this whole campaign for Mäkinen, and she flips her hair, and you can really see that she still has an effect on him, and you can see it throughout the episode that there are moments where John gets weak but then kind of snaps out of it and puts this wall between them. So anyways, that's the first moment. You can really see that he still gets affected by Sanem, and then Polen interrupts. So then Sanem has to be convinced to go as well. At first she's like, no, I'm not going because he wants to be alone, blah blah blah. And then Layla kind of convinces her, tells her this whole theory, what is going to happen, and Sanem is letting Polen take John from her, blah blah blah. And then Sanem imagines this whole candlelight dinner between John and Polen, and her coming with the fire extinguisher, which we already got in the trailer. It was hilarious. I laughed so much this episode. So this episode really had drama, comedy and love, just the whole package. So the next day, John and Sanem arrive at the hotel separately, and we get this whole preview. And then when they go to their rooms, which are actually next to each other, Sanem tries to explain herself, but John is like, I don't want to listen to you, so just leave me alone. And then her knocking at his door, I actually don't get the reason why she did it, but it was funny at the same time. So I don't know, maybe to lighten the mood a little bit after the way he talked to her. So she told John the whole reason why she is there is a workshop she always goes to, and she made this reservation a long time in advance. And then they actually go to this workshop, and it's all yoga and positivity in, negativity out, and you have to hug the person next to you. And a male wants to hug Sanem, and she's like, what are you doing? And just hugs John and pushes other women away. It was hilarious. And then the instructor says, well, change your partner, and Sanem just changes sides. It was hilarious. What I've noticed there is that they actually reused the shirts they used in, I don't know which episode it was, but the episode where Sanem touched John's face, you know, where she was blindfolded. They actually used the red shirt and a blue shirt. Anyways, after some time, John also hugs Sanem back, which was another weak moment of John. Then they have this dinner where John is smartly dressed and Sanem comes in this beautiful white dress. The instructor says, well, your table is over there, and John doesn't want to sit next to Sanem. And he's like, well, I'm happy just to have a drink by the bar. And Sanem is like, well, I'll just sit by myself, don't worry. The instructor kind of has a way to persuade John, so maybe John made all those things just to shut him up. I don't know. So another weak moment you can see when John and Sanem are at the table, and Sanem is just looking around, and he has this loving look in his eyes. The instructor comes and says, well, do you know what's missing? A dance. And Sanem would like to, and Sanem is like, yeah, that song is very nice, or something like that. And John is just doing something with his eyes, and Sanem is like, oh, I don't need to dance, blah blah blah. And the instructor is like, well, it seems like Sanem wants to dance, but she's too shy, so we have to find someone else for her. John just jumps up and is like, well, I'll take her. And then they dance together, and that's the scene we already saw in the behind the scenes videos that we got. So thank God it was not a dream. But at the same time, it kind of was, because it showed their bubble kind of. So it felt to them that they were alone. But once again, John snapped out of it and put up a wall again, because it was his weak moment once again. Then a funny scene happens. So Sanem's heating doesn't work. She goes to the reception. They say they can only fix it in the morning. John overhears this whole conversation, offers her to sleep in his room. At first she declines, and then she accepts, and then she's actually sleeping on this sofa, kid bed kind of, and she's always like mumbling yelling, just talking badly about John not being a gentleman and him being a huge person and sleeping alone in a double bed and her forced to sleep on this little bed there. It was hilarious. And then they're back and forth, him being like, you know, I can hear you and you can go if you want, and then her being like, I don't have to stay here, I will go, and then her saying, I will go, I will go. Aren't you going to keep me here? I will go. It was hilarious. And him like, no, I won't keep you here. I won't say anything. It was amazing. And then them at night fighting over the blanket. Oh my god. And then the next day you can actually see who needs whom the most. So John is all over Sanem, almost lying on her, being on her side. So you can really see that there's this subconscious pull towards Sanem that John has. And Sanem is all happy. So then Pauline comes, interrupts. They also go with her to the workshop because the instructor says, well, she can come as well. They have this task to make, so they had to balance over a, what do you call it, plank? I think it's plank. And then he says, well, John, will you start? Think about your problems at work. And John goes, just no problem. And then the instructor says, well, think about your problems in your private life. And then he stops, kind of contemplating. So you really see that there is like a problem, a thing that he has to solve, kind of, but then he moves forward. So I don't know what that metaphor was. Will he solve the problem by going away? Will he solve the problem by staying and actually listening to Sanem? I don't know. Anyways, Pauline and Sanem actually have to do it at the same time, and we get the scene from the trailer, and then Pauline and John having, I don't know, dinner, lunch, whatever they're eating, and Sanem interrupts and takes food from John and from Pauline. It was just hilarious, just like the old Sanem. And then when John brings Pauline to her car, you can see Sanem between them in the background, just looking like that. And then Pauline turning around, getting in the car and seeing Sanem. And I don't know, did she wave for something? But Sanem is like very serious face, but at the same time waving. It was amazing. John then takes Sanem back to Istanbul and she's all happy about it. And then such a cute moment in the car. Sanem is just dancing and him looking at her and then talking about the company. And then she's like, I will be by your side, I'll support you, I'll help you, or something like that. And then he runs his hand through her hair and takes her hand, and I was like, oh my god. And then they arrive at the company and Sanem is like, well, you can go rest and I will take notes and I will let you know. And he's like, I won't come. You can see that Sanem kind of knew what he actually meant, so she started crying when she walked away. And Jen is like, Sanem, I won't come today, I won't come tomorrow. I actually accepted the offer Pauline made, and it was just a bomb for me. I was like, just a couple of seconds or minutes ago you were holding her hand and being all smiley and everything, and now you drop this bomb. What is happening? Oh my god. And that's the end. And now to Alix predictions for episode 31. So right after the episode we got the preview where we have John and Sanem in his office looking at the laptop, reading some proposal job offer by a person named Yeet. So my question was, who is Yeet? What job offer? But then Sanem also says that she quit her job at the agency, and John says, well, I'm still here for the next 24 hours, I'm still your boss. And we see jealous John, and I'm like, yes, yes, my prayers have been heard. Oh my god, I'm so happy. So there was still quite a few question marks after I watched the preview, so I didn't really get much out of it. And then this morning, as of me filming it now, we got the first trailer, and oh my god, it's amazing. So first we see JJ trying to hold Sanem back from handing in her resignation. They can actually cut her hair. I'm not sure if I like it, to be honest. I really liked her long bob. Maybe I need to get used to it, but anyways. So will John accept the resignation? Then we see Sanem at a bus stop and then her being run over by a car, and the new person appears, Yeet. I actually said that he's going to be a missing brother. Apparently he's not, but I love that he makes Jun jealous because Sanem is in the hospital, Jun is by her side, Yeet comes and Jun just loses his mind. This is going to be amazing, amazing. Oh my god, I'm so happy for this episode. And then Yeet actually comes to the agency and Jun is not very amused. They talk about this whole proposal thing, job offer that he gave Sanem. So I don't know, this is going to be interesting. So what I think is going to happen, or what I hope is going to happen, for sure we get jealous Jun, and I'm so thankful for it. I really do hope, please, whoever watches that, and I hope somebody from the Erkenci team watches it as well, please keep Yeet. Don't make him disappear like Sinan or Levent. I want Yeet to stay for more than just one episode. I'm begging you, stay there and make Jun jealous for more than one episode. I want to see jealous Jun for a period of time. I also want to see Sanem being a strong, independent woman, the way she was in the beginning, kind of. So I really want to see that. We kind of got to see it in the preview. So I'm really excited to see how this thing plays out. Oh yeah, I also saw some behind the scenes videos of the launch, like the campaign launch for Mekinen. Jun and Sanem are dancing again. I don't know, is it within those 24 hours that Jun is still in Turkey, or is it after? Will he still accept Polen's proposal? How will Polen react when Jun declines her proposal? So my wishes for next episode are jealous Jun, Sanem being independent, comedy, drama, well, not really drama, maybe a little bit, and a lot of Jun scenes and Jun fighting for Sanem. That would be amazing. So that's all I can say for my predictions, my review, what I want to see in next episode. I really do hope I didn't forget anything. But yeah, I really hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what your thoughts are on episode 30, what your thoughts are on Yeet. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already to see more Erkenci reviews or videos that I do in general. Click that bell to get notifications whenever I upload, and I will see you next time. Bye!